I want to give some context into who I am. Once again, my name is Iszak Mestas. I wrote this paper, Existentialism, Albert Camus and Fyodor Dostoevsky's Stand on God. It started off as a final research paper on the topic of existentialism and religion for a class on existentialism as a whole. Originally, I was going to just read it flat out, but as so many have done before, I felt a lot of things lacked depth, and I felt like it would be better if I just described it in a speech that I have crafted. A little bit more context to myself, I actually have a bachelor's degree from Rockford University. It was in business management, so I am making a complete 180 to the academic world. I had a minor in philosophy, and ever since I took that intro to philosophy course, it drew me in from the very beginning. I had a great philosophy professor by the name of Dr. Matthew Flam, and even to this day, I still have his number, and we still contact each other, and he is a great mentor of mine, honestly. I do have some great resources from Dominican University, as I am taking some part-time courses over there as well, and I have aspirations of pursuing philosophy at the PhD level. Outside of that, I want to express my gratitude for my wonderful partner here, Sadie, that I'm going to shine the spotlight on. She has been supporting me throughout this entire academic journey, and I would not be here without her. So thank you. All right, so now I will be speaking to all of you. I'm going to give you a little brief preview about existentialism, God, the existentialist philosophers Albert Camus and Fyodor Dostoevsky, and their specific take on God. At first glance, existentialism seems to directly contradict God, especially in regards to the key existential concept that existence precedes essence, as I will get into in a little bit more depth. After closer examination, I believe one can acknowledge existential concepts while remaining faithful to God, if they please so. So existentialism, this is something that, as I said in my paper, I did not go into greater depth as we had studied in the entirety of the course. So I want to give a brief preview to defining existentialism. It's quite the task, but through the help of Stanford Encyclopedia, I got some help from that as well. So it's generally agreed upon that there are 6 core components of existentialism. I know in today's language, existential crisis, existential dread seems to be thrown out as, oh, I forgot my laptop for this big prep conference, something like that. But that really stems with, I could segue into my first concept here, nihilism. We see a rise in the late 19th century. It is centered around modern world problems. A few of those including anxiety, alienation, boredom, and meaninglessness. And in today's world, these problems are as prevalent as ever. We see it with the rise of social media. It's very easy to get lost in TikTok or Facebook, Twitter, whatever social media you use. We can end up in situations where we're constantly glued to our phones and maybe not speaking to someone for days, weeks, months, your whole life. We also have threats of climate change, which really puts us in a state of fear as we are trying to navigate that in an outside perspective. You know, we're only one person, and you know, a lot of these companies do not consider the damage that they're causing to the planet. We also have fears of the after effects of the latest election. These modern world problems, especially in today's society, are a culmination of what we see and what rises in nihilism. The second core component that I want to talk about is engagement versus detachment. So traditional philosophy has detachment and objectivity. Speaking from a third-person sort of view, existentialism is expressed through a first-person experience, and we have a general examination of how we individually interact with the everyday world. So there is more of an engagement when it comes to existentialism and expressing ideas in existentialism. Existence precedes essence. This is a huge part of the topic of specifically existentialism and religion. In religion, we are told that we have a divine purpose, as told by Christianity and other religions in general, that we are given each a divine purpose. We're all a part of God's plan. In existentialism, we are essentially thrown into this world with the burden of creating our self along with meaning. For a lot of us, the idea that there is no inherent meaning drives us insane or gives us a plethora of freedom. So that segues into my next topic here, concept of freedom in existentialism. In short, we have freedom and responsibility over our own lives through choices and actions that we make on a daily basis. Authenticity. This is the idea that we must break through what society asks of us or what our neighbor may do. As we have the personal responsibility to carry out our life in our own ways, in a way that is most authentic to our truest self. In my case, business management, that was me following societal norms, the potential of safe job, safe money, and now making a complete 180 into a field of philosophy, especially the field of pursuing, trying to be a philosophy professor. It could be quite volatile, but I have, as I'm sure both of you are aware of, yes, but I have a personal passion for, and I'm following what's authentic to me, and that's what gives myself purpose. Lastly, ethics. Now, it's generally agreed upon that there's no universal code of ethics, no moral absolutes in existentialism. Rather, a moral life is attainable, but only once we accept our personal freedom and responsibility over our own lives. So a recap here, we got 6 core components of existentialism, that being nihilism, engagement versus detachment, existence precedes essence, freedom, authenticity, and ethics. These latter 4 in particular are, in my opinion, very important to existentialism. The personal freedom, the responsibility essentially being authenticity, and ethics, making sure that you create your own strong sense of morality. Yes. So next, moving on to Albert Camus, getting ahead of myself. So I wanted to give a brief overview of his upbringing and influence, just so we have some context as to what inspired his writing. Born in 1913, passed away in 1960. He was born in Algeria, which I believe is North Africa, in low status. He also witnessed World War II in Paris, France, and he was a part of the rebellion as an editor for the side of the Allies. His upbringing and witnessing of World War II contributed greatly to his work. Now, it is clear that Camus does not believe in God, nor would he choose to live with faith if God appeared before him with undeniable proof. We see this in Camus' The Rejection of Salvation from the Rebel. He uses Ivan Karamazov, a character that Fyodor Dostoevsky expresses his own doubt in through the brothers Karamazov, to explain the meaning behind rejection of salvation. So Camus writes, I have a quote here, "If the suffering of children, says Ivan, serves to complete the sum of suffering necessary for the acquisition of truth, I affirm from now onward that truth is not worth such a price." Essentially, a benevolent God would not allow innocent children to suffer in an effort to test our faith. If it were the case that God allowed such suffering, according to Camus, this would make God evil. Thus why he would reject any salvation God would offer. So next, I want to pull a quote from The Stranger that Camus writes. It's a novel. He writes through Midsouth, who honestly is a very nihilist character, sort of an outcast, sort of an outside from the societal norms, that sort of person. I have a quote here. "Everybody was privileged. There were only privileged people. The others would all be condemned one day, and he would be condemned too." So what does he mean by this? So in my perspective, I see it as him expressing an absurd truth. the absurd truth that we are all privileged with life, and some of us never really accept that privilege or even understand it, express any gratitude for the privilege of life. But along with this, some have more privilege than others. Where we are born, and even what time period we are born, can impact the quality of life as well as the length of it. Some may be privileged with not only life, but with luxury. But even knowing this, every single person that is born will die. Camus accepts this absurd truth, and he chooses to live freely and authentically without God. So now, Fyodor Dostoevsky, born in Russia, 1821, and he passed away in 1881. Just as I did with Camus, I would like to talk about the harsh conditions that specifically Dostoevsky was born in. He was born in lower class, and the community that he was a part of as well growing up was also lower class. He witnessed atrocities, both firsthand and through news outlets, and this greatly contributed to the work that he created throughout his entire life. Now, Dostoevsky has been known to struggle with his faith in God. His parents were both of his parents were very God-fearing people, and they would read to him novels and a lot of scripture as well. So he found himself questioning God's existence and a lot of his reasoning. Through this, we see it through characters such as Ivan Karamazov, a scholar, someone who's very similar to Fyodor Dostoevsky. And then we also see other characters as Alexei Karamazov, or sometimes referred to as Alyosha. This character is devotedly faithful, has love and faith in God and humanity in general. So each of these characters represent this internal struggle with faith. I have a quote this is a student of Middlebury College in a 1996 class on specifically Dostoevsky. It's pretty much a scholarly article I found a few years ago, and I found it very interesting. She titles it Dostoevsky and the Problem of God. I have a quote here. While Dostoevsky's works clearly and thoroughly deal with the struggle of recognizing the existence of God and maintaining that belief, his ultimate conclusion is unquestionable. Though as humans, we may try to rationalize God, stirring up supposed inconsistencies. As believers, we will be received in our trifling ignorance with grace. Dostoevsky, through all of the questioning, has realized how the questioning, is the mistake that we make as humans. Trying to make sense out of something we do not and will never truly, fully understand. He claims that we speak out of ignorance, and we can never truly rationalize God. So now I want to reference Notes from Underground. This is considered Dostoevsky's first existential work, very late in his life. And it really shows as he expresses another side of himself through the underground man. This is a man who is filled with deeply negative thoughts and disdain for the world and society and all the societal norms that we follow. This work acts as a sort of confession, and not only that, it's a deeper questioning on not only social norms, but God and faith as a whole. So it is clear, as I said before, there's an internal struggle in all of Dostoevsky's work, that he is at constant war with himself, as seen through characters like Ivan Karamazov, the underground man, questioning God and society alike. Along with that, we also see characters as Alyosha Karamazov, who are devotedly faithful and have love in not only God, but humanity as well. So as a recap, we've examined Camus and his rejection of salvation from God for allowing the suffering of innocent children and lives for the sake of a supposed ultimate plan that we will never really understand. We've looked at Dostoevsky, and he has pretty much deemed that it is futile to rationalize God. Rationalizing God's existence is something that we will never really truly be able to do, as our ignorance our Euclidean or earthly minds cannot comprehend someone like God. So I propose a question here. Could one possibly live as a believer of existential ideas, as well as hold faith in God? I say yes, but with a catch. It takes a leap of faith. Soren Kierkegaard. This is someone I wish I expressed his ideas in the very end of my paper. And this isn't something that I really realized until, honestly, a week ago. But Soren Kierkegaard, he coined the term a leap of faith as he would essentially describe a leap of faith, meaning it is a necessary act of faith, not for the sake of rationality, but as a passionate commitment to something beyond logic and reason. In Kierkegaard's case, that something is God, a passionate commitment to God beyond logic and reasoning. For the understanding of God, the universe, the creation of the universe, the meaning of it all, it will most likely forever remain a mystery, and our next generation is going to be discussing it and probably arguing about it as well. So Kierkegaard here says it quite literally takes a leap of faith that God's ultimate plan is benevolent, and while outside of our understanding, is for the benefit of humanity and each individual person. I personally take this leap of faith, and while the argument of Albert Camus and others hold true weight, I say if a leap of faith in God troubles you, take a leap of faith in the power of benevolence. Take a leap of faith in the power of good, in the power of kindness, in the power of doing what is right. We all have variations of what is right and wrong, but we can almost always come to agree that doing what is right trumps all. Thank you.